Once upon a time, in a quiet village, lived a man who had just married a kind and beautiful woman. Their love was new and full of promise. One day, they decided to journey to a neighboring village to visit relatives. As they traveled, two young men spotted the wife from a distance. Her grace and beauty instantly captivated them, sparking a wicked desire in their hearts. "She is stunning," one whispered to the other. "We must have her." His friend nodded eagerly. "But how?" "Her husband is with her." A sly grin spread across the first man's face. "I have a plan," he said. "It's a simple trick. You go and borrow a cow cart. When I ask you what it is, don't say cart. Instead, name one of its parts, like handle or wheel. Understand?" The friend, intrigued by the cunning scheme, quickly agreed and went to fetch a cart. The first young man waited by the roadside. Soon, the couple approached. He stepped forward with a friendly smile and hailed the husband. "Hello, friend. Could I have a word with you for a moment?" The husband, seeing no harm, stopped his own cart and agreed. The young man then pointed to the cart his accomplice had brought. "Tell me," he asked, "what do you call this thing right here?" The husband looked at it, puzzled by the simple question. "Why, that's a cart," he replied, stating the obvious. The young man's grin widened. "Are you sure?" "I'll tell you what, let's make a bet." "A very serious bet." "If you're right, and this is called a cart, I will become your servant for life. But if you're wrong, your wife becomes mine." The husband burst out laughing. How could he possibly lose such a ridiculous bet? It was as clear as day. Confident of his victory, he agreed to the wager. "It's a deal," he declared. The trap was set. The trickster then called over to his friend, who was standing by the cart. "Hey, come here and tell us, what is this thing called?" His friend walked over, looked at the cart, and with a straight face, pointed to the long wooden bar used to guide the oxen. This is a handle," he said confidently. Then the trickster pointed to one of the large wooden circles. "And what about this part?" His friend replied, "That's a wheel." He pointed to the flat wooden base. "And this? That's a plank." They went on like this, naming every single component of the cart: the axle, the frame, the yoke, but never once did either of them use the word cart. The husband watched in growing disbelief, his initial confidence slowly turning to horror. When they had named every last piece, the trickster turned back to the husband, a triumphant look in his eyes. "You see," he declared, his voice ringing with false victory. "No part of this is called a cart. You were wrong. You lost the bet. Now, hand over your wife." The husband was stunned. "This is a trick. You cheated," he cried out. "A cart is the sum of its parts. You know what I meant." But his protests fell on deaf ears. The two men were stronger, and the small crowd that had gathered was swayed by their clever wordplay. They seized his wife, laughing at his despair. Heartbroken and desperate, the man went to the local judge, hoping for justice. But the two young men had gotten there first. They bribed the judge with a handsome sum of money, and he, blinded by greed, ruled in their favor. "A bet is a bet," the judge announced smugly. The terms were clear. The wife belongs to them. Defeated and utterly alone, the man stumbled away from the court, his world shattered. Tears streamed down his face as he walked aimlessly down a deserted path. His sobs echoed in the quiet woods until a gentle voice interrupted his grief. "My dear friend, why are you crying so sorrowfully?" He looked up and saw a wise old rabbit, its eyes filled with an ancient, knowing light. This was no ordinary animal. It was a benevolent spirit of the forest. The man, with nothing left to lose, poured out his entire tragic story. He told the rabbit about the wicked bet, the clever trick, the stolen wife, and the corrupt judge. The rabbit listened patiently, its whiskers twitching thoughtfully. When the man had finished, the rabbit spoke with a calm, reassuring voice. "Do not despair. Injustice may be clever, but wisdom is stronger. Bring me a few ripe bananas to eat, and I promise you, I will help you get your wife back." Hope flickered in the man's heart for the first time. He quickly gathered the sweetest bananas he could find and offered them to the wise rabbit. After enjoying its meal, the rabbit declared, "Now, let us go back to the judge. Justice will be served." Together, they returned to the courthouse, where the two young men were still celebrating their victory. The rabbit, standing before the judge with an air of authority, demanded to hear the case. "Honorable Judge," it began, its voice clear and firm, "explain to me how you came to your decision." The judge, surprised by the talking rabbit but still arrogant, recounted the story of the bet, emphasizing how the husband had lost fairly. When he finished, the rabbit nodded slowly. "I see, but the case is not yet over. I have a question for the victors." It turned its sharp gaze upon the two young men. "You say you won the wife in a bet, correct?" They nodded, smirking. "Very well," the rabbit continued. "Then show me. Which part of this person is called wife?" The young men were confused. One of them, trying to play along, pointed to the woman's hand. "This is the wife," he said. The rabbit shook its head. "No, that is a hand." The other man pointed to her leg. "No," the rabbit corrected, "that is a leg." They pointed to her head, her arm, her shoulder, but with each attempt, the rabbit gave the same reply. "That is a head. That is an arm. That is a shoulder." Finally, the young men stood silent, unable to answer. The rabbit then addressed the entire court, its voice resonating with wisdom. "You see, a hand is not a wife. A leg is not a wife. Only when all her parts are together, as a whole person, is she called a wife. In the very same way, a wheel is not a cart, and a handle is not a cart. Only when the wheels, the planks, the handle, and the frame are all assembled together does it become a cart." "You did not win fairly," the rabbit declared, pointing at the two tricksters. "You use cunning words to twist the truth and deceive an honest man. Your argument is a lie." A murmur went through the crowd as they realized the depth of the rabbit's logic. The judge's face turned pale with shame, his corruption exposed for all to see. "Return the man's wife to him immediately," the rabbit commanded. The crowd erupted in cheers. Faced with the undeniable truth and the anger of the people, the judge had no choice but to reverse his ruling. The two young men, humiliated and defeated, released the woman. She ran into her husband's arms, both of them crying tears of joy and relief. The man turned to the wise rabbit, his heart overflowing with gratitude. "Thank you," he said, bowing deeply. "You have judged with true wisdom and fairness. Your name will be blessed forever." The rabbit simply nodded, its duty done, and disappeared back into the forest from whence it came. And so, the story teaches us a powerful lesson. Cunning tricks and clever words may win a battle, but they can never defeat true wisdom, which always stands on the side of fairness and justice. Be wise, not just clever. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more tales of wisdom and inspiration. Until next time, stay thoughtful.